My name is Henry Neat Jackson, and I am the creator of Transparent Talks with God. What is Transparent Talks with God, you ask? Transparent Talks with God is a podcast that God has given me to be very transparent and tell my story. And I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm a little uncomfortable doing this. This is definitely out of my comfort zone. This is not something that I ever imagined doing, I'm gonna be honest. But we like being obedient because God only knows why He has you doing things, right? Even if you don't understand why you are doing it, right? So I when God gave me this podcast, He gave me this whole thing to start. I was like so excited. Let me tell y'all. I was so excited because at first, like, I was like, oh yay, like I'm gonna do a podcast. Like, ooh, that's fun, you know? But the more he began to speak to me about the podcast and what I would be doing on this podcast and the lives that I would touch and what my assignment is, the excitement started to dial back some and dial back some and dial back some. And I was like, ooh, you want me to do what? Almost like get somebody else to do it because I don't want to. But you know what? I'm here. I'm here because how many of you know that God ain't just gonna get somebody else to do it if He called you? So we gonna be obedient over here. We gonna be obedient. So, what is Transparent Talks with God about? Transparent Talks with God is about me being very transparent, me not staying in my comfort zone, but me living outside of my comfort zone so that I could fulfill what God has told me to do, what has called me to do, and that is to let His people go. And we all know the story of Moses, right? Moses, God had called Moses, and He told him to go and tell Pharaoh to let his people go. He heard their cry and He called Moses, go let his people go. And um God had given me a burning bush moment, and He said, I'm calling you to let my people go from the voices of depression, the voices of fear, the voices of anxiety, the voices that have been keeping them bound and captive. It is time for them to be free. And so, what I want you to do is, I want you to let them go by telling your story, by being very transparent and telling your story. And I'm like, okay, God, this a lot. You're gonna have to, this a lot. But nevertheless, like I said, we keep on chugging. We're going to keep swimming in these deep waters where He has us at, right? So, um, as I begin to do some research on what a podcast is and how I was to, do mine, um, God showed me everything. It's like I went through a crash course on podcasting. And I'm excited. But if I can be transparent, because this is what this podcast is about, I'm nervous, y'all. This is not, if you know me, this ain't no, this no. But we here. Like I said, we are here. And as I as I approached the day to start recording, I was like, okay, God, like, what do you want me to talk about? Like, I know I have to tell my story, but like, how? How do you want me to do that? Like, okay, like, do you want me to just have a list? Do you want me to go from this age to this age? Do you want me to, just go randomly and tell my story? And God is like, just speak from the heart because that's what my people need. People who are going to speak from their heart and tell them the realness and tell them, what it is and how God has come in and saved you. And even at those times when you didn't think that God was going to come in and save you, when you didn't think that there was a way out, when you didn't see the light, God is like, tell all of that. Because there are people now, women, people in general now who are in things and who are facing giants, and they are looking at the tools and the weapons that God has given them. And they're like, God, this giant is too big for this tool that you have given me. How am I going to slay this giant, God? And God is like, trust me, I have called you a winner. You are mine. And you're going to win in this battle. Okay. So though it may not seem like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And there's actually a light while you're walking through the tunnel, because how many know that God said in his word that he would never leave you nor forsake you? So even though he may seem like he is quiet and it may seem like, you just walking out this walk by yourself, you are not alone. And that is one of the things that I personally struggled with, is like not feeling alone. Like, because I have times where I just feel genuinely alone. Like, God, you threw me out here in these deep waters and you just told me to swim, and now I gotta swim. I don't even know how to swim that well. Come on, come help me. But as I said, he will be there with you. He ain't gonna let you sink too deep. He gonna grab you. Okay, he's gonna pull you out and he's gonna get you through there. Okay, so God woke me up, y'all, at like 6 o'clock this morning. I was trying to stay asleep. I was trying to stay asleep. I'm telling y'all, I was trying. And he woke me up and he was like, "This is what I want you to talk about." Philippians 4:13. We all know it. It's such a popular scripture. Well, one of the scriptures that is, said a lot, I should say. And it's, "I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me." So he gave me that, but then guess what? He said, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." But can I really? And I was like, and he said, "Tell of a time where you felt you knew that you can do all things through Christ. You knew that you can do all things through me, but where you also lacked in trusting that you can do all things through me." And so I'm like, God, I got a million stories, because in my first walk with God, when I first began walking with God, you know, I struggled with trusting the Lord. I struggled. I was like, how could I trust somebody that I cannot see? This is crazy. Like, you want me to trust you? I'm going through depression. You want me to trust you? I have anxiety. You want me to trust you? I have family problems. And you want me to trust you? How? How am I going to do that, Lord? How? How? And we could see I've made it through. So let me show y'all how. So I can do all things through Christ, but could I really? I remember a time when I was going through depression, right? The big beast of depression that is plaguing a lot of people, right? And I always had told myself, you would never go through depression. Like, I don't care. Like, you not going through that. Don't ever, you ain't never. And let me never say never, because you never know what God gonna have up. You never know what he gonna take you through. You never know. I'm telling y'all. So, I used to be one of those people that was just like, I'm never going through that. I don't even know how people go through that. Oh boy, I am so sorry. Cause I was all up and through depression, all up and through anxiety, all up and through wanting to end my life. And I'm not going to tell the full story of it right now, because I want to tell the part that I feel is more relatable to our title of this episode, and that I feel God wants me to also tell. So I remember when my family, we were having a very tough year financially. We were having a tough year, and I was already, like, mentally not good. I was already not just the best, emotionally not good, and already depressed. And then we were at a low part in our life. We were having a very tough year, and I remember it being summertime, and mind you, already just, oof, mine just, gone out of here, y'all. But I remember it being summertime and we were struggling, like I said, and we didn't necessarily have like enough money to decide, and we had to like kind of decide between bills, food, gas, and etc., of the things that we wanted to do. of what we could do with what we had, right? And I remember sometimes not even us like having to scrap for food. And this is the time when I really struggled with trusting God. This is where the height of my Lord, how could I trust you when my family is struggling? We do not have, you know, enough finances to get us by to the next day, for the next week. We didn't have it. And you want me to trust you? I have to come to church and you want me to praise you? You want me to give you honor and praise when we are in a bind right now? Can you help us out of this bind? And then maybe I'll think about this. This is me being transparent, y'all. This was my thoughts around that time. Um this was my thoughts around that time, and I was really deep in it because I was like, I don't know how I could trust you. Like we don't have enough money and we are out here struggling, and you want us to trust you? How could we trust a God that would allow us to struggle in this way, right? And then on top of that, I always said that I would never go through depression. I always said that it would be something that I just would never go through, right? And here I am going through depression. Like, why would you put depression on me? I just, let me tell y'all, I was deep in it. Like I keep saying, I was like, why would you put depression on me? What did I even do to deserve depression? I have been, trying to follow you, but it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle trying to follow you when what you are saying and what your word is saying is different from what I am seeing. So if your word is saying that you will provide and you will make a way and you are here for us and you will never leave us nor forsaken us, why does it feel like you have left me? Why does it feel like you have left me to starve out here? Why does it feel like you have left my family to struggle really badly? Why does it feel like you have left us in the middle of this storm and said, just deal with it? I really thought that God was just like, just deal with it. Like, it is what it is. Like, and, you know, and he's not like that, thank the Lord, right? But during that time, I just really felt like you just put us out here and you just having us deep in this deep water that we don't know nothing about, you know? And then on top of that, like my mental health is declining. I am struggling. I'm barely eating. I'm crying my eyes out every single day. I'm pretending to put a smile on my face and over here struggling real bad in depression, but crying myself to sleep every night. The struggle was real. It was real. And then for people to say, like God has you and he's gonna make a way out. Where's the way? Where's the way? Come on, show me the way. I'll believe you when I see it, was kind of like where I was. But as like time kept going, like I just had to like really take a step back and realize like, okay, girl, like you going through this, your family may be going through this may be a struggle, this may be something hard that y'all are having to deal with. But let's be honest now, you still have a roof over your head, you still have clothes on your back, you still have food on the table. Even though at times you may not know how y'all gonna get the food, he always comes through at the nick of time and y'all get the food. The bills are still being paid, whether they were being paid late or not. They were still being paid, so we were still able to live in our homes that we were living in. And though you are going through depression, know that God did not leave you in this. So if you still have like food on the table when you didn't even know where the food was going to come from, but you got it. You got clothes on your back when y'all couldn't even afford to buy clothes, but you have them. You have a roof over your head when you didn't even know how your family was going to pay the next bills, pay the bills in general, but the bills are paid, the lights are still on. All of these different things. How could you say that God has left you? Just because it may not look like the way that you want it to look and it may not feel good, and while you're in it, he did not leave you. He did not just sit you out here and be like, you got to deal with it. It is up to you. However you want to do it, you just do it. He didn't do that whatsoever. He still is with you. And right now, you may be going through this tough season and you may be going through this tough time and you may not know how is it going to happen, but God is like, just take solace in the fact that I am still with you. I will never leave you. Like it says in his word, he will never leave us nor forsaken us. Though you are crying yourself to sleep at night, know that he is bottling up every single tear. Those tears that you thought was going to take you out, look at you now. Like, I had to really like take a step back and be like, oh wow, God, you really didn't leave me. Like, you really still right here. Like, you really have never left me. Like, though it may seem like you are quiet in this time, I know that even in the quietness you are still speaking. Because if I'm still waking up the next day with breath in my lungs, my pulse is still beating, there's still a purpose. Like, I didn't die in it. I'm still here. I'm still alive. And I may not like where I'm at right now, but God knows exactly what He is doing. He knows exactly how He's going to get you through it. So, like I said at the time, I just was like, how could I trust you, God? I struggled with trusting God for I don't know how long, y'all. It was a while. Maybe up until I like went to college. I because I still was like kind of like in a depression, but kind of like coming out of it. Like, I would have times where it would be I'm depressed for maybe 6 months, and then maybe the next 3 months I feel like I am all good. Like, we good. We mental health is great. Like, we chilling. We good over here. And then I would be back under, and it would feel like just like the worst thing ever. So I'm like, how could I trust you, God? Like, how could I trust you? How could I trust you? And I had to stop looking at my situation for what it was and start looking at it for what God is going to do through me from it, right? And once I began to have life spoken into me by others, and I began to speak life into myself, and I began to just make the decision in my mind to stop complaining and start saying, Lord, I don't know how you're going to do it, but I'm going to trust you, even though I'm struggling in this trusting area. I'm struggling in this area of my life where where I'm having a hard time trusting you. Because I am still here and this has not taken me out, you obviously have a reason. You obviously have a purpose and a reason on my life for me to still be here, right? And so once I began to do that, and I allowed people not just like listen to what they said and just threw it off to the side, like let it go in one ear and not the other. Once I allowed it to really minister to me, then I began to trust God. And it was a struggle. It didn't just happen overnight. It didn't just like happen overnight. It was still like, God, I'm quoting these scriptures and I'm repeating them, and I'm trying to believe them, but still, look at this. Look what I'm going through. Look at this. And I heard a story one time. Because I had never known this before. Um the story was about this lady. I don't remember who told me the story, but the story was about a lady whom had lost, I think, her husband and her child, I believe. And she cried out to God. She cried out to God. And this was her first time like crying out to God and being angry and yelling and just crying out to God. And God had spoke back to her and was like, this is my first time hearing from you, but I'm so glad, that I'm hearing from you, whether, you're crying out, whether you're angry, whether you're yelling at me. I am so happy that I am hearing from you, because now that we have this relationship, now that we have established this, now I can use you. And so once I like heard that story, I was like, maybe I need to go and yell. Maybe I need to go and sit before God angry with all of my feelings, with all of my emotions, and ask him why. You know, yell, be sad, be mad, cry, do whatever I have to do because I needed this out of me. I want to trust you like these other people, Lord. I see you doing great things in their life. How could you do it? I need the same blessing. I needed to trust him, right? And so I sat down one day and I sat down before God one day and I got it all out. I mean, I yelled, I screamed, I cried, I said sorry, but at the same time went back and said, but how could you do this to me? Why would you do this to me? Why me? Why? Right? And God was like, why not you? Now, let me tell y'all something. Okay, let me just see the way that God be talking to me sometimes. It'd be really like, hold on, like just excuse me, but at the same time, like the way that he talks to me is the only way that I will move. Like I need him to always talk to me like, why not you? Like you know you are capable of this because I was the type of person where I would talk to myself in that way and that is how I graduated. I would look myself in the mirror and be like, you want to work at McDonald's all your life? Or you want to, graduate? You want to walk across that stage? Like I would look myself in the mirror. I was my hardest critic. I kind of still am my hardest critic, y'all. Like I still be hard on myself, but we learning to be better. We getting there, I guess. And we getting there. But like I was saying, I sat before God, I yelled, and I was just like, "Why?" And he answered, he spoke back to me and said, "Why not you? Why not you?" And at first, I was like, "I don't know you. Why me? I'm asking you the question." And he was like, I'm going to use you and I'm going to use all of this that you are going through. You may think that this is something that I'm just doing to harm you and to hurt you. And God is like, nah, that's not what I'm doing. No. I'm going to use all of this. You may not understand why you're going through this right now, but trust me, in the long run, you're going to be so happy that you went through it. And let me tell y'all, I went off to college and I met met a bunch of people, and there were people that God had placed in my life who were going through depression and they were going through things that I had already went through, and they were struggling with things that I had already struggled with. And it didn't click in my head at the time that like, oh, this is what God said I had to go through it. But I would begin to speak life into them. I would begin to help them get through what they were going through in the way that I did, or if God had given me a word to give to them, to help them through that time, to navigate. And it's like I kept doing it. I kept doing it. I'm like, why is it that I'm able to speak life into these people, these women, these people who have gone through the same thing that I have went through? Why is it that I'm able to do this? And God, you know what he did? He came back and was like, remember what I said? Remember what I said? Remember I said that I was going to use you. Remember I said that I was going to do this. Remember I said, why not you? That you may not understand why you are going through depression. You may not understand why your family had to struggle in that year the way that they did. You may not understand why it had to happen. But I told you that I will use everything. I will use everything. I will use it, and I'm going to use you to help people who have gone through what you have gone through, or even still going through things now. And the more I begin to do it, and I begin to tell people, like, trust God, because he's gonna get you through this. Trust God, he's gonna get you through this. Now, how many that you can be telling other people like, trust God, he gonna get you through this, while still being in your own situation, and you're like, God, how how am I going to get through this? Like, you got me telling all these people to trust you and that you're going to get them through this. And I'm seeing them have their breakthroughs and all of this type of stuff, but I'm still struggling in mine. It was because the work was not done. But he needed to use me while I was still in it so that I can feel, I could relate to their pain as they were going through it. But my work was not done while I was in it. And it wasn't done for years. I went through depression from sixth grade up until I was about 19 years old, guys, and I am 21 years old now. So let's just, but through it all though, my faith did change and I began to trust God. So the title of this was called, I Can Do All Things Through Christ, but could I really? And I'm here to tell you that you really can. You really can make it through that depression. You really can make it through that anxiety. You really can make it over that hump. Do not take your life. I was there. I wanted to end my own. I wanted to give up. I was done. I was tired. I was exhausted. And like I said, I was still pouring into people, but I was still struggling by myself. Like in the end, like as I'm pouring, I felt like I was pouring from a well, a very empty well, and like trying to grasp whatever water I could from out of that well, grasp it. I'm telling y'all, it was just like my well was real empty. It was real empty. But each time it was just like each time I needed to pour out, it always seemed like there was enough. It always seemed like there was enough. But I had gotten to the point where I was exhausted and I wanted to end it all. I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I love these people. I love you, but no. Because if I got to stay in this, I don't want to live in this. Mm-mm, mm-mm. But he obviously I'm still here. He ain't take me all. I wanted to go and God said no. And it's a very profound testimony, but that's another episode, okay? But I'm here to tell you that you really can do all things through Christ, which strengthens you. He strengthens you. He knows all the plans for your life. It says in his word that he knit you together in your mother's womb, and he knows you, for you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and that he has created you in his image, and the plans that he has for you are not to harm you, but they are to prosper you, to give you an expected end. So I know it may seem like, there is just no way out, and what is this girl even talking about? Because what is she talking about? She don't even know what I'm going through. She don't even know what I'm up against, this giant that I'm up against. And she's trying to tell me that I can do it, that I can overcome it, that I can face it. I'm here to tell you, I was there. I was facing a giant that I thought would take me out, that would the giant could have just stepped on me and I would have been done. But only God, because I was able to push past everything that I was going through. And like I said, I wanted to end it. I'm here to tell you, I wanted to. But the more that I kept pursuing God and the more that I kept staying in his word and staying in front of his face and yelling, being angry, bringing all of my emotions and all of my feelings to him, the more that he began to heal me, the more that he began to deliver me, the more that he began to free me. So I would just encourage you to go to God and literally relinquish everything, everything over to him. And it may not even, in the while you're doing it, it may not feel like nothing is happening. It may not feel like I feel like I'm just yelling just to yell. I'm just crying just to cry. I've already been here before. But let me tell you something. Keep doing it, because the more that you are doing it, the more that he is releasing. And you may not feel it right now, but in the end, you're going to be like, I'm so happy that I came to you, God. I'm so happy that you have kept me. I'm so happy that I am still here. I'm so happy that I did not end my life, because I see how you want to use me. I see how you have such greater plans for me. And though I couldn't tell when I was in that season, grass is very much greener on the other side. And when you make it through, you're going to be able to go back and reach the ones that still are in it and they need a way out. They need a way out. You may be the person that God uses to heal your family and heal that bloodline. And I'm here to tell y'all, listen, I'm the person that God is using for mine. And so with all of the tools and everything that God has given me, I'm just here to give it to you. But my prayer is that you would relinquish everything over to God, and you would go to God and you would tell him everything. I mean, I don't care if it's the smallest thing. I don't care if you have to tell God 1,000 times about the same thing. He is willing to listen as long as you are talking to him. He longs to hear from you. And so just go to him, relinquish it to him, and know that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. He has put his strength inside of you. If you are still here and your pulse is still beating, your heart is still beating, blood is still flowing through your body, and you have breath in your lungs, he has a purpose for you. He is not done with you. If you have even tried to commit suicide and you have tried to, end your life, and it's not working, take a step back and say, okay, God, well, I've tried several times to commit suicide. I've tried to end it all several times, but yet it seems like nothing is working. So obviously there is a reason why you have me here. Please reveal to me this reason so that I can begin to do the work that you have called for me to do, because you don't want to be stuck in that. You don't want to end your life. When there's so many people that God has set before you, and there's so many people that God has attached to you so that you can go and heal them. Those people need you. The world needs you. God needs you to build up his kingdom. And I know it's hard. I know it's frustrating. I know it's aggravating. I know it seems like you cannot catch a break because all hell is breaking loose every single day. But let me tell you something. Jesus defeated hell. Okay. Jesus, he died on the cross for all of our sins, and he defeated death. Don't waste your life on a life that Jesus came down to save. So, this is Transparent Talks with God, and my name is Hironique Jackson. This is episode 1, y'all. Woohoo! Yay! Episode 1. Let me tell y'all something. I had to take like a 10-minute break in between recording this because I was like, but God got me back together. Okay, he got me back together, and as we can see, he told me exactly what to say. And I pray that whoever this word is for, whoever, comes across this podcast, that you are freed from those voices that have been keeping you bound for so long. I pray that you would begin to be transparent with God in the most vulnerable way ever. I pray that God will begin to restore you, and he will begin to deliver you, and he will begin to free you, because the world needs you, God needs you, and there are people who are attached to your life who needs you, not another person. Stop trying to put it on another person. We're talking about you. This world needs you. And so just sit before God and be very transparent, be see-through to him, and allow him to use you. Don't hold back. Allow him to use you. Okay, guys, I love y'all. My name is Hironique Jackson. I am your host of Transparent Talks with God, and God has sent me here to let his people go from the voices of depression, anxiety, fear, and whatever else has been holding you back. Let me tell you something. You name it, I probably done went through it. And I am here being transparent, and I am so happy that you all could join me on this journey, because this is definitely something outside of my comfort zone. So y'all please bear with me as I overcome this. But we're going to keep chugging. We're going to keep swimming, and we're going to let God guide us. But have a great rest of your day. Bye. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching. I pray that this has blessed you. Like,